Welcome back to another stream. So, if you remember, we started last week, and so far, what we have done is we went through how to create a new monorepo, how to create an app, how to create a component. Yesterday, we also talked about like the control flow syntax, how you can render some values on your screen. And today, we will continue doing that. So we'll talk about like how we can use the template engine to do more stuff. And yesterday, actually, there were few useful comments in the chat. I think my friend Ali was in the chat and he mentioned something for loop in case you haven't seen the stream and you can catch his comment. He mentioned about, okay, with for loop, you can actually do something very useful. Where I don't have to use if, but yeah, we'll talk about it and then we'll see the PR which we opened yesterday. And also, I actually changed the light color for the star behind. Let's see. Let me adjust this screen. Yeah, so I changed the color. I'm not sure like if it looks good because I'm trying few more colors for the star thing. Here, yeah, here, yeah. Right. So today, let's go through the PR which we opened yesterday. It was a normal, tiny, and let's go and see that. And I keep forgetting about. So I was just talking to my friend Ritvi about this feature. Earlier you had to press Alt Tab every time you want to shuffle between multiple windows. Now in Mac you can actually do this, which is very cool. You don't have to press reach out to your keyboard basically. And let's go ahead and get started. So about the issues right yesterday. So one thing which I've seen most of the LLMs are really bad at is writing the Angular code, especially the control flow syntax. Even though it has been there for a few years now. I mean, five releases, like Angular 17 came maybe five releases back, and it's almost the time for Angular 22. So November, right? So November was Angular 21, 6 months, uh, and you can count. My math is very bad. Maybe April, right? March, April. That will be the Angular 22 release date. But what I found very interesting is GoodRabbit actually captured those issues. And the first, and it's all nitpick comments. So there was no because there is nothing major uh, in this, right? Hey, Pat, thanks for joining. So there is not any major issues with what the PR which we have. If you see this, so it says okay, uh, there is one failure which is related to the title. It's okay. Add template syntax. Code said, okay, what is this? I have no idea. And that's something we can ignore. So, this is this tiny PR where we just added some template so we can try the control flow. And there is some code which is commented out. And let's go back to the conversation or the summary. So, but that's what I was talking about. So LLMs are really bad at writing Angular code so far. I mean, especially the control flow syntax. So yep, you are absolutely right. And again, I'm not an LLM. I'm still saying. Uh, okay. So first comment is it is saying okay, there is some commented code which you have. This is a nitpick. This is not a block. So it says okay, you are even though it is commented code, it is also telling me that okay, you know what, you are actually using ng for block references, and you have used incorrect variable actually because what this does not exist. And okay, and it also mentions that ng4 is legacy. This is important, because if I'm a new developer who still haven't heard about the new control flow syntax, and if I see this comment legacy, what do you mean by legacy? I know that this is the only way. And I can, of course, go ahead and check the documents, right? Or simply ask your LLMs, okay, you gave me this ng4, and CodeRabbit says it is legacy, so what's the correct code? And yeah, hope it learns. And then there's another comment which is there. And yeah, I was just mentioning that earlier. I actually mentioned this yesterday that why I am using if I can just use empty because with for there is an empty tag which is available in case you're running a for loop. For in our example, right, what we wanted to do is run a for loop, print the number of hotels, location. If there is nothing, just say, okay, there is no hotel which is available. And I don't need if for that actually. I used if because I wanted to show you an example like how you can use if, but there is an empty block. And Kotak says, okay, you can just go ahead and do that. So it says, okay, replace the if for else combination with single for plus empty. Nice, good comment. And then it tells me, actually, this is really interesting because uh, it tells me that there is some problem with your test. And if I open my test, or if you see the CI pattern, it's actually failing because all the tests failed. And it's okay. For now, I don't think I have to write test, and maybe this is something which we can discuss for later. Yeah, but as I said, yes, I've seen this as well. Uh, when I was exploring AI tooling for my last employer of Ceylon's, and whenever I used to generate some code, it's like it used to be terrible. I think I found pretty good, uh, maybe better result with Opus, but yeah, they you need to teach them. So you need to teach your LLM saying, okay, this is not right. This is what you should be doing. And this is where the engineering practices comes into the picture, right? So you don't have to rely totally on what LLMs are giving you, because this is where yeah, I recently wrote a blog post like on my personal portfolio, like why I like being like sorry, just excited about it. So this is where I also mentioned what you have to be, what you have to do to be a good engineer, and of course you have to learn the basics. You have to be on top of your, maybe have better knowledge than what your LLMs have, or maybe you have to talk to it in a better way. So it's not like whatever the first result you get from your AI or AI tool, you just accept it and then move on. Then of course that's how the AI slop thing happens, right? Yeah, I know, right? So uh part is saying, of course, Opus it's very expensive. Yes, it is. If I go to this one, not here, sorry. Um, yeah, I don't have my chat open, but it's 3x more expensive in case you're using it with GitHub. And I have a pro subscription for GitHub, and it gives you like I think better, maybe more than $20 for sure. I mean, I'm not sure like what if you're using directly cloud code, and maybe try switching to open code or maybe GitHub Copilot, which gives you much more maybe credits in $20 plan. But yeah, if you're using cloud code, yes, it's expensive. I'm not sure. I also have cloud code subscription, but I generally try to use. I'm also playing with Cortex, and which is really nice. But yeah, it's your choice. But let's see. Let's go ahead and fix these issues, right? I mean, I also want to fix my CI pipeline, and I can see what is the issue. So it says okay, it failed. Let's see what failed actually. And so which processor. It's end-to-end test. So end-to-end test failed because I haven't focused much on end-to-end test. I don't want to for now. Maybe in future, if we try to learn maybe playwright, we can actually go ahead and use it. For now, yeah, let's move on and say okay. So hotel management test, of course. Yep, as I said, this is definitely this is something going to fail, and we will move on for now. So hey, Ritvi, welcome back.
Hello,
Yeah.
how's everyone doing today?
Yeah. Thanks for joining. So I was just going through all the errors and the comments which CodeRabbit gave, and I'm trying to fix my CI pipeline because there are some tests which is failed. And for now we can actually skip the test and just focus on the code part. And I always forget about this feature. My bad. So I'll remove this as CodeRabbit absolutely was right. Which okay, again, I'm not a LLM. It was right. And we can also remove this if else as identified in the code review process. And we can just use so for, and then we can say empty. So in case there is nothing, you can just use empty block. Okay, why I'm writing this? Okay, and then the search for can just be here. And mhm, come on, oops, sorry, I was just pressing some different key for control copy paste. So I don't know. So I have started just accepting everything. So it's hard to identify which key is where. Just- I'm sure like most of us do that right now.
Absolutely. Are you still struggling with the German keyboard?
I That's again another issue. Yeah, we should talk about it. Okay, so okay, all good. My application works. It compiles really well. And let's go back and see. Yep, no hotels available still, and we don't have to rely on if else anymore. We can just use for with at the rate empty. So in case there is no value to be displayed, it's very useful in case you have a table, right? And then earlier it was a lot of work actually to do this. In case your table is empty and you want to show a placeholder text saying, okay, there is no data to be shown. With control flow syntax, this is like a lot easier. You just need to do this at the rate empty and with for loop, and you're done. Basically, you don't have to struggle to make this work. So uh, we will keep this if else because we'll be talking about for few more control flow syntaxes and we need if else as well. Hi Parth. Okay, so far so good. And if you remember, we also have some failing tests on our CI pipeline. So let's just go ahead and use. But for now, let's go ahead and comment it. You see, there are some skills which is added by default by NX. This is not something which we did, and there is some legends which is again added by. This is so again at best NX by default. We don't have. And for now, what we need is just need build. So I'll remove test and I also don't need P2E. So I just need lint, build, and type check, that's it. And for the same, what I can do is I can also skip Playwright because we are not running end-to-end test anymore, and installing Playwright takes few seconds on your CI pipeline. And one thing which I try to respect is if you're getting something for free, don't abuse it. And I'm getting all the CI pipeline for free. I think it's available. It's 2000 minutes. Do you remember this? How much minutes are those? Like 2000.
I think we lost Santosh for a second. But until he comes back, if y'all have any questions, y'all can keep them coming in the chat. Uh, I'm sure he accidentally just closed a tab. That's it. And he's going to be back any minute. I'm just going to quickly text in to check with him. And we can see the screen, but you can't see Santosh. So let me add him into the stream. There we go.
Oh, sorry. I don't know. My connection was lost. My internet connection.
Oh, that's good. At least that's a good reason. I usually accidentally end up closing the tab of my meeting or my stream.
Interesting. I mean, yeah, but I was not expecting it. This is something which rarely happens. So where was I? What I was talking about? What am
2000
I?
minutes. You is what is
Ah,
2000?
yeah. So that's actually the free limit which GitHub gives you, right, on GitHub Actions. So you can use CI pipeline for almost 2000 minutes for free.
Oh wow.
Uh, good enough for open source projects, right? And that's a cost to Microsoft actually. So be careful like what you're using. And that's one thing which I want to change is actually the Node.js version. So we can move to an Node.js version 24 basically. So uh, it's the latest one, and all thing looks good. And let's see. I'll just go back and command prompt. I'll just open one more because I also want to commit the code. So I'll just keep this running my server, and here I'll just say okay, get add and get commit. So this is more like uh, update control flow and update CI, and hope things work. It should work. I mean, there's nothing which is going to cause an issue for now. And let's go back to this CI pipeline. Yeah, it's just running. So it will rerun the code review thing, and then it will rerun the CI. And if everything goes well, it will merge. And I'm also using NX here. So I'm also using something known as NX Cloud. So everything's free. I mean, I'm just amazed that like how much things are available for free to like learn more as an engineer. I wish I had all this when I started my career in 2008. I had nothing for free. Even books were not free.
But how when did Z library come around? Do you know about the Z library?
Which one?
Z library.
Site library. Okay, okay. I'm like hearing this for the first time. What is that?
So Z library is this online project that they're trying to provide as many free books as possible, especially reference books. So just Z library.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
the
neat.
first
Yeah.
one. So
Mm.
that's the so they're trying to provide as many reference books, as many books and articles and stuff for free because they believe knowledge should be open source.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, even though if it existed, like internet was not very common in those days, right?
Agreed.
Because so might be. I mean, this is good to know that there is something like this which exists. But yeah, I was surprised when I heard that 2008 was the same year when GitHub was created. Wow.
Oh wow, that is actually insane. I did not. Yeah, that is crazy.
And and I was talking to somebody. I think we were talking about the same on the stream, right?
When the CI/CD pipeline came around, yeah, we
Yeah,
spoke
exactly. Yeah.
about the pipeline. Yes.
Okay, so the CI/CD looks good. I think it should run. Yeah, almost done. It took me 2 minutes. Okay, 2 minutes is too much time. Let's see what is taking time. So 35 seconds for this one. Oh, this NPM install takes close to 1 second because maybe, yeah, that's fine. I think I cannot complain because, I was I'm using free server with, yeah, whatever RAM I have available. So yeah, it's okay. And then it says, okay, Code Rabbit is still waiting for the status to be reported because it's still rerunning the comments. Sorry, it's rerunning all the checks again. But it's okay for now. I can just say, okay, let's go ahead and commit this code. And because, now it's available in main, so we can just go ahead and, yeah, learn about more syntax flow, control flow syntaxes. Right? Hey, Punyapal. Hey, Ali. Says, uh, nice telling me what are you using second? Okay. So the terminal, right? So it's War. So I use War. It's free. I know. It also has a paid plan. I think now you can use agents too, but I just use the terminal. Okay. So this is done. We have our feature available. I'll just go back to main branch and let's take all the changes. I'll just say okay, get full. No, I don't want to change the directory. I just want to get full. So okay, everything's good. All the files are available locally now. And let's go ahead and see what we can make or the control flow syntax. We will continue to writing the same. Okay, so here we have our total list with for and empty block. And now we can just go ahead and talk about if else. There is if else, right? So you can also have else if clauses. And then we have switch. I think switch is something which probably everyone knows, right? Because these are like some common control flow which exists in all programming languages. Even if you start learning JavaScript or TypeScript, the first thing which you go through is control flow syntax. Which one is your favorite? Ritvi? Control flow syntax. Okay. Is it are you on mute or no? I
Can
cannot
you
hear.
hear me?
Now I can hear you. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I was just asking like which one is your favorite?
Oh, which one is my favorite control flow syntax? I think I used to love the for loop, especially like nested for loops, how messy you could get with them and like
No, because I have crashed Windows or maybe browser several times because my for loop goes into infinite loop. And then
in
yes, that was fun. I oh that's again like I don't remember writing an infinite loop. AI came in.
Yeah,
I don't
that's
know.
unfortunate. You used to have so
Cool.
many good stuff happen.
Yeah, but yeah. So let's see. So we'll go with if else is like something which is terrible for your code base. Try to I think everyone knows why. I mean, it if you have too many if else clauses, of course, your code will take more time to execute. Even for loop can screw up your maybe production if it's not handled properly. So, number of bookings. So let's talk about maybe we can combine something with bookings. We know for can go with empty, and yeah. So what we can do is we will update this one and we will add number of rooms. Yeah. So number of rooms, we'll just add one more property here and we will not make it optional because, I just want to avoid null values as much as possible because, yeah, heard about like null was the biggest mistake in programming languages.
No, what?
Yeah, so I think the author, like the I don't know, I don't remember the name because, I'm really bad with names. But I think he mentioned like it was the biggest mistake introducing null in the programming languages because it makes
Oh,
your code not type safe.
very interesting.
Yeah. So that's why I think that's one of the reason I also like maybe my when I started, of course, I was writing a lot of .NET code, and when I came to JavaScript, I was like, why I keep getting this null of undefined error. So yeah, that still exists somehow.
So
But
why did we get
TypeScript of
rid of
it.
it? Why
So
is it because of back compatibility?
because it can throw error, right? So if you have an object and there is a value which is null and you're trying to read that value, you will get an error.
Got it. So
Why
we
it has to be null?
better way to go about it, huh?
Yeah, exactly. So okay, oh, sorry.
So
Okay,
there's
so
a
let's see.
question,
Sorry,
Santosh.
Stati. Yeah,
There's a question for you from Ali
yeah.
asking, I saw you have NX skills. You said it was auto-generated by NX. Is there a command on NX that generates it?
No, I just created a new workspace, and that it already created it for me. And I'm just using NX Cloud. So maybe if you are seeing that prompt saying if you want to use NX Cloud, just say yes. And as I said, like NX Cloud uh, is free uh, for open source projects, and if not, I may be wrong because I've been using it for free for so long. So and maybe it's part of the NX Champions program. So I'm part of the NX Champions program as well, and maybe that's why they gave it for free so I can play around and use it.
Very cool. Do you have like a link that you can give people because you're a champion?
Oh, so NX Champions, and they have two things actually: NX Champions and NX Experts. So if I go to NX Community, there is section where all the NX champions are mentioned. I hope I'm still there. Yeah. Let's see if I can find myself. Oh, I found myself. Yeah, it's here. And there is NX. What was the other name? Is that NX champions and then experts? Yes, I think that's something which it's kind of certificates. For example, you can do a lot of uh, Angular certification, not Angular, but yeah, Google certifications. So similar to that, you can also do NX certification.
Interesting.
So welcome to know apps. Our partners. So okay, these are NX partners. Yeah, it's live. Okay, maybe yeah, that's. But yeah, you can also do a certification where you become NX expert as well. And yeah, that's another thing which you can go for.
Very cool. So yeah, Ali, if you wanna pursue any of those, good point. Another question for you, which very point on point for today's session is, Vasudev asking, what is your take, Santosh, on Signals, RxJS, and the future of Angular state management?
Definitely go with Signals now because and your team is trying to reduce that friction. REGS is amazing. I love it, and it's very powerful library. But if I can do the same in less number of lines of code and with more performance, of course. I mean, I will just go ahead and use Signals because the learning curve. It took me a lot of time, and I'm sure like everyone who is maybe Ali who also used a lot of RxJS can say or agree with me that RxJS has a steep learning curve, and maybe in less time you can actually master Signals, which is amazing. So yeah, if you're writing new code, Signals definitely.
Awesome. Yeah, folks, we're going to be diving into Signals today at some point anyway, so stay tuned for sure. Uh, yeah, and if you have more questions about NX Champions, I am going to try and find you some links and send them to you in the chat.
Okay. Good. So now we can actually mix for and if because now we have something called as hotel dot number of rooms. So I'm going to say, okay, if number of rooms is greater than zero, then go ahead and show me the rooms are available. Otherwise, just say, okay, there's no rooms available, right? So I'll say, okay, this is number, let's say greater than zero and number of rooms. Yeah. And in case of there are no rooms, I'll just say else, and we will say, okay, go ahead and create a paragraph and say no rooms are available. And I'll just say format, save this, and let's see the prompt. Everything should work. Yeah, everything works. Just go back to the UI and it says, okay. So for first hotel, it says, okay, there are no rooms available because we mentioned it is zero. The next one, it says number of rooms are 200, number of rooms 150.
Mm-hmm.
All good. We combine for if, for loop with if, and it makes sense here because with for I can use empty, but with if we can use else. And we can also do one more stuff here. Let's see. You know, uh, I'll just say, okay, this is number of rooms available 10. What I want to do is, let's say if I have more than 50 rooms available, I'll say, okay, number of rooms available. But if it is less than 50, I'm going to say, okay, few rooms available, filling up fast. Go ahead and book your room. Like, I mean, it's a selling thing, right? Which you might have seen on booking.com. Last 5 rooms available. And you're wondering why I need 5 rooms. Okay. Okay. But yeah, let's so here we can actually combine if, else if, and then else. So at the rate else if, and I'm going to say total not list dot number of rooms is less than 50 or less than equals to 50. And but if it is greater than zero, it will come here, right? And oops, and less than 50 and greater than zero.
Not equal to, yeah, fair.
Sorry. Limited rooms have. Oh, is it reading my mind or what? It, I think so. This scenario is so common. I think AI also knows this is what Santosh is thinking about. Okay, so number of rooms less than equals to 50 and number of rooms greater than 0, then we'll say, okay, this is because, or we can actually might have used between or something, which I don't think so exists inside TypeScript or JavaScript, but this is good enough. So let's say rooms available less than 50 and what should be greater than 0, then we are saying, okay, limited rooms available, and let's see. So, okay, number of rooms 0. What happened? Uh, so is this file saved? Number of rooms 10. Number of room 10. Why? Because it just entered into the first loop.
Oh,
Yeah, and I will say this should be greater than 50, right? So, right.
yes,
And
exactly.
now it will go into else if as well. Oh, it does. So
Yeah.
because I have 50 and this is great. How many
I
rooms
think
do
we
you have?
can
10.
remove the zero. We can remove the zero, right? We don't need that's unnecessary, right? Like it.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think. Okay, what is the logic? Why we are okay, so total number of rooms greater than 50, then it says uh, it should be totals of limited rooms available. Okay, it does says limited rooms available. I was not sure like why we are playing. Maybe I am not reading properly. So it says okay, limited room available, and there are only 2 rooms available. Or we can just say uh, so let's change it. So last total number rooms available. Right? So it looks different. So last 10 rooms, basically, not 10, but rooms.
And I'm guessing a hotel does not want to show the exact number if there are a lot of rooms available, right? So can we
Exactly.
hide it altogether if it's greater than 50? Just l- rooms available. That's it.
Yeah, that's something which we probably once we rework on the dashboard, we can do that. But here we now know if, and else all this control flow with for empty, and maybe we can move on to the next one, which is switch case, right? So let's see what other information we can have to display this information using switch case. So if I think about it, maybe hotel type, right? Hotel type can be one. So let's say it's a list, and I want maybe not hotel list. I'm just saying, okay, let's say we have it's hotel information, right? So maybe it can be a hotel room, maybe a B&B, maybe um, something else, maybe a private property, and
Got
they may have different metadatas. Hotel list will have hotels, B&Bs will have all the apartments, private properties might have apartment as well as whatever they want to name it, maybe a bungalow or something.
hostels. Yeah.
So let's go ahead and do that. So we can also see switch case, right? So I'll say, okay, this is a new property. So I'll say, okay, this is property type. Okay, so now we got hotel, motel, resort, and hostel. Yeah, good enough. And now let's go ahead and see switch case. So using switch case, I can do switch, right? And I have to switch based on some property. So here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, okay, switch based on property types, right? And then at the rate case, and you can mention, okay, this is 40, right?
Yep.
And let's go back. Okay. Oops. String is not compatible with type string. Wow. Was a string array? Because I have to say, don't accept anything which property types is okay. And maybe I'm missing out something. No, no. I hope that this is the right syntax. Maybe no. Let's see. For now, let's see. Case. Oh, okay. What am I missing? Okay. Yeah. That's right. What so it should be property type, state. Oh, maybe it's just not the property type. Yeah, property type might be this. So I'd say hotel. Um, yeah, it can be actually just this type, and I can say the default is hotel. So it will not complain about. Yep. Oh, wow. But okay, so I'll say okay. In case of hotel, just go ahead and show maybe this one, right? So it will list all the hotels, and then in case of motel, I'll say, okay, this is again H4, no motels available, no resort available, and no hostel available. And here, what's this? Unclosed block for switch. Yeah, let's see. Yeah, it's matching right now. Yeah, I still remember the time when it was so hard to actually figure out where this is closing.
Oh
I
wow, yes,
remember.
I can imagine. Oh my God. I think I remember only like writing small Java programs back in school in Notepad.
uh, and then yeah, there are few people who are see doing interviews where they have to write it in Google Doc. Okay, no complaints. Okay, hotel, or we can just actually use this one, right? I mean, hotel's part of our family, so I can just use this. And why? Okay, so I'm just wondering, like, if this is S3 and it matches the same this text, H2 also is matching the same. I don't know why. Maybe some CSS weird CSS thing. Let me see if I have any CSS available. Do I see any CSS? No, there is no CSS. Style.css. Oh, this might be a Delvin thing, is it? Let's see.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Did you initiate? We did initiate it with Tailwind, right?
We did. We actually asked, okay, give me default. Okay, this was a Delvin issue. Okay, nice. But so now I know the actual thing. Okay, cool. But yeah, it looks better, I think. Just kidding. But yeah. But at least we can see the different tags, right? So we can see, okay, this hotel is part of our family, ID, name, location, no rooms available. And in case of the other cases, like which does not exist right now, it can just go ahead and display. So let's go ahead and do that maybe. So hotel list, let's say what we can do, let's think about a scenario, a toggle functionality.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So you switch based on, okay, I want to see all the hotels, I want to see motels, I want to see resort, because switch case is not going to, I mean, it's not going to like basically render everything, because we are saying property type is actually now what? Hotel, right? So we are uh, defining few property types and saying, okay, the hotel is right now the current one, and then we want to change it. We want to change this type to something else. And that is something which we can do using the toggle functionality. So let's go ahead and do that. And for this, we need buttons. And I have t-shirt. So sorry, no buttons today. Oh my God, it was so bad joke. Okay. I'm sure no one is laughing. Uh,
At least they're collecting the bad jokes. I'm sure someone's like, someday we'll make a compilation of Santosh's live stream jokes.
Yeah, that would be nice. Oh, okay, so let's create all these buttons. And for this, I'm just wondering if I can use property types. So let's see, just seeing what if we try to do property types of, let's see what it renders. Or is it going to, okay, it says hotel. Because parent value is hotel, right? Okay, so cool. So I'm going to create four buttons and say, okay, this is button and click. Okay, this is nice. And yeah, it's reading my mind. So what we have is four buttons, and based on each click, we change the property types. We are saying, okay, go ahead and say property types model, and yeah. So let's click on model. Oh, nice. See, already works.
Oh wow, that's actually very cool.
Yeah. So we don't have to do anything because we already assigned the value here, and now we have hotel, motel, resort, hostel, and you can actually do a toggle or do toggle functionality on this. So uh, now we also have a switch case, which is actually working, but there might be a default case because switch case also has a default case.
Right.
So you can of course do that and say, okay, this is set for a default and whatever you want to give, right? So maybe default might be your hotels, default might be your hostels and whatever. So in case there is no value available or a value which does not match the property types available, it can just render anything. Or maybe, the best thing, you can just say something went wrong. Please try again later. Yeah, who cares?
Not the best software engineering attitude. We do
Please.
care. We promise y'all.
Yeah. No, I'm just kidding. Just don't do this. I
Sure.
mean, and I was making a joke because this is very common in engineering. I have seen a lot of times that when developers are lost, like they're writing code for a long, long time, and then they realize, oh, but this might be a scenario where I get an exception. So what should be that exception? What we should display to the end user? So this is the message. Okay, something went wrong. Please try again later, and then there is a
Got
bug. And there's a bug, actual bug, and user is actually clicking. Please try again later. And then, yeah, please don't do this. I mean, I have seen code bases like that. So that's why I mentioned this. Oh, okay. So now we have if, which case, for loop. And yeah, we have full more things in for loop. We talked about one property which exists. We talked about index. And let's do one thing. Track. So I will just go ahead and add ID as well. This is not something which is auto-generated for now, but yeah, why not? Like, let's use ID. ID is type of number. Yes. And I'll just go ahead and say, okay, this is ID and 1, 2, 3. And I'm going to use this property for track by. Okay. So now I'll say, okay, I can remove dollar index. I can say, okay, track total not ID. And then you can also create some variables based on the properties which are available. For example, you can say, okay, let index, not this is dollar index. So now I can use this index property in case I need a running number, right? And there are a few more like this. So you also have, if this is the first row, this is the last row, you also have something called even and odd. So let's apply the styling based on maybe if this is the last row or maybe if it's even or odd, right? So I'll just use this and I also need even and odd. Yes, I'll just split this into multiple lines. So now we see all the properties which are actually available. So we are doing try by hotel.id. And just to make sure like everything works, I'll just go ahead and see if the compile is happy with us. Yes, it is. It is saying, okay, everything is right. There was some error because we added the ID property in between. And here, now what we can do is based on if this is first row or last row, we can actually apply some styling. So I can say for this class hotel, um, is maybe I'll just say go ahead and use this class, or maybe what else we can do? Apply here. Yeah. So let's say this is class is equals to if uh, this is let's say first row, yeah, or maybe even or odd, right? So we can say if this is even, so even, then apply some CSS, else apply some other CSS. So let's see. I'll create two styles and my style. Let's see if this can help me. And okay, cool. I'll accept it because my CSS skills are so good. And for odd, I'll say okay, this is dot. Yeah, one thing at least I know that if I have a class name, it should start with dot.
Yes, that's a good start, I'm sure.
Oh, it helps. It helps to debug the issues. Okay, cool. So you see the first row, it says, okay, this is whatever the color is. This is pink or whatever. It looks like pink. And then there is row number 2, which has white color for some reason. Yeah, it's here, right? You can select. Okay, yeah, this is whoever made this. Yeah, you are amazing.
I know, right? That's actually a total bone. Oh, looks interesting.
Wow. So based on even and odd values, um, you might have seen tables with me which show different colors, different row colors
Which is
based on.
so important, especially if you're browsing a very data heavy page.
So yeah, you can achieve that using not many lines of code, right? I just wrote based on even and odd. We can just change it, and yeah, you can also use if it's a first row or last row. We just have 3 rows, so I don't. But yeah, you can totally change this and say, okay, if this uh, is first, then even, and then it will say, okay, for it just apply this for first row, and for others, yeah, it's changed, right? So for others, it's different color, but for the first one, it's this color. So yeah, this is the thing. So we now know about all the properties which are available on your for loop. Index, track by, track by, how you can use track by, and then you have index first, last, even, and odd. So yeah, we are not, we're good. I think we are, let's go ahead and create a new branch. And I'll say this is template syntax part. Yeah.
So Santosh, Ali is asking, you don't need to define them though, right? You can just use even and odd directly.
Yes. Yes, because we are already using dollar index here. If you think about it, so you can also do dollar even and dollar odd directly. Yeah, good,
Very
good.
good.
Yeah, good call out. Yeah. So okay. So now what we will do is, we have been talking about signals, but let's go ahead and do create some signals and why we need that. So let's go back to dashboard. So if you remember all the properties which we have defined so far, they are just normal data types, right? In TypeScript. So this is number, this is date, this is list of hotels, this is property types with union type. So you can actually define, this is string literals, if I'm not wrong. This is string literals with union types. Basically, because property types can be only one of them. If I try to assign it saying, okay, this is test, Uh, by default, yeah, it says, okay, there is no test. I think you are just confused about what you need, and this can be only one of them. So uh, now what we can do is we can convert them to signals, and we will also talk about why we need signals because everything works.
Do we have enough time, Santosh? We have 10 minutes
We
on
have
this.
10 minutes, right? So just let's small introduction like how to use it,
Yes, that's awesome.
and we should be okay. So signals are actually available as part of code, right? And it's a primitive. Basically, it's a data type which exists inside Angular. And there was, someone was asking like RHAs or signals. There was a long period of time where to do any async operation, people used to actually, or not async operation, but let's talk about the overall picture. One of the biggest pain point or one of the biggest problem to solve in front end is what? Any guesses?
State management?
Absolutely right. You're absolutely right. So state management. Go to any framework. The first thing which you reach out for in case your application becomes very large is state management. How do we solve that problem? So Angular said, okay, what we do, we use RxJS for this. Then there was, if you go to React had its own library, right? So React had so many, I think, different frameworks just to solve state management issue.
Right.
Ang- Angular also had few frameworks. So Angular has NGRX, NGXS. There are a few more which I have never used, uh, but this two are mostly widely used. NGRX is what you will find in many places, and but there was no way to handle the state inside Angular. Like if you have to handle, like probably RxJS was the second option. So it also made like the framework a little bit heavier, because you need to learn, not heavier, but hard to learn basically, because you have to learn about RxJS or you have to go for NGRX. But do we need NGRX state management in all the cases? Um, Possibly, maybe no. Why should I need and maybe state management for example, our Valentine Day, right? It was on overkill, but everything starts with a Valentine Day, and I mean not Valentine Day, but
A single page app, folks. That's what we're
single.
talking.
Yeah. So everything starts with a small app and then it grows and then it becomes huge. And then now, let's say suddenly you have hundreds of components and now you realize, oh my God, my state management is a mess. And now I want a state management library, or maybe I want something to maybe now introduce state management in my application. What you need to do is you need to refactor the code. But with Signal, like, yeah, you don't need to, like, you can just start using signals, and it also gives you local state management. Like every component has its own state. So you have less things to worry about, and you have maybe probably you don't need to use RxJS signals, or the different signals, behavior, sorry, subject, behavior, subject, and yeah, whatever different subjects which used to exist or which we generally used to use. Have you used RxJS?
No, I haven't actually.
Okay. So, I mean, for a longer period of time, yeah, developers had no idea what RxJS is, and it's a very amazing, useful library. And now, I think everyone knows. I think most people knows. So, to convert anything to signal, you just need to wrap it inside a signal. So here it says, okay, now this is title was earlier string. Now it says it's type of writable string. So it still actually knows what kind of value is there, which is wrapped within the signal, but it is converting this to a signal available in JavaScript as well. Because this is not one the Angular's problem to solve, it is problem which every framework is trying to solve. So Ryan Carniato, who built SolidJS. He worked with Angular team, and Angular team decided, okay, we want this. They implemented it, JavaScript Foundation, or TC39, right? So as we know, I'm sure like everyone knows TC39 because that's the foundation, or maybe a group of people who built the features for JavaScript.
Oh, very
How,
cool. Did not know that.
okay. So similar to what CNCF has, right? They also have a group, right? Or maybe you might have heard about OpenJS Foundation, so which also does a lot of things. So TC39 is like a lot of group of people who are nominated by different companies, different frameworks, and they built some features. And you can also contribute, like you can also become a member, TC39 member, I think, by contributing to the ecosystem, right? So yes, so now it's going to be part of the uh, JavaScript. It means in future the signals will be available inside browser, so you don't even need to do this like Angular core signal because it becomes native to JavaScript. It means it's available by default. That's the future. And now I can convert everything to signal. So let's say, okay, this is signal of type number. This is signal of type array. And I think there's something wrong here.
I think a bracket got off.
Is it? No.
Yeah. No?
Mhm. Okay. So it says missing following properties or $2 for push. Did you mean to call this expression? It says, yeah, that's what I did, right? I mean, I said it should be total array, and it's still giving me an error. Why? Because it's equal to, I mean, oh my God, why? Okay, so it says hotel list is radical signal as well because I was explicitly defining the type, and then yeah, it knows like now it's an hotel array. And this can be also types, and I have to be really careful here. So it is going to be, let's see, yes, this is the correct way. Okay, so now everything is signal, and I think we are almost close to the time, but you know, like how, and everything should work. So let me show you. Apart from one thing, which is breaking. Oh, so this is our end of the stream thing where we get errors.
Yes, yes. This is tradition, y'all. If y'all are joining us for the
Yeah,
first time, this is our fourth stream, Santosh, and
yeah,
this is a tradition at this point. Next time, if we
yeah.
don't have an error, we'll have to create one before we end the stream.
Okay. So you know, so there was one thing which was available inside RxJS as well. So there's one similarity in case you know about RxJS subjects, and if in case you don't, that's nothing to worry about. So RxJS was pretty, or subjects were pretty powerful because they're lazy. Now, what I'm talking about here? What do you mean by lazy? What do we mean by lazy? Ritvi?
I'm guessing they didn't update themselves or something, or they were
Yeah, close.
short is short, basically, is what we want, right?
So yeah, they won't be available until unless you need it.
Mm.
Until unless you ask for the value, they won't give you anything. So let's say there is a function which is maybe returning you a subject. And by default, like the way things work is right, like the code will be executed always. There is no way to delay it, right? I mean, until unless you have a same function and everything. But even in that case, they will be executed at some point of the time. What in case I need to call a function whenever I ask for it? Otherwise, it should not even do anything. In that case, you can actually reach out for RxJS subject, which is lazy by default, and signals are lazy too. So if I don't need a property, for example, property types, I don't get anything, right? If a function which is returning a signal and I don't want to actually read it, no one, actually, it's not going to be executed or it's not going to be called. So here, to now you have to unwrap that value, right? So in case you want to read it, you have to tell your maybe Angular compiler that you need that value. So in RxJS, we had a different way. In RxJS, there is used to be a async pipe signals. You just need to read it. So you can say, okay, I'll just unwrap this value. So here, as soon as I use it as a function, which for might be for new developers who are starting with signals, might feel like an odd thing to do because this used to be a very bad practice when we were writing code, maybe Angular 4, 5 days, right? Angular 4. And this was still a problem for a very long time. If you still uh, search for maybe calling a function inside template, you will see a lot of blog posts talking about it. So it's a wrong practice. But it's signal, yes, nothing to worry about. So what we are doing here is property types as a signal. If I want to read the value, I have to unwrap it. So just think about this as unwrapping this value. Same applies to hotel list. Now I'm unwrapping this value. It means this values will be available. If I don't, then this it's not available basically. And now here, what is happening here because it's a signal. I cannot assign a value directly, and uh, somehow Copilot is already suggesting me this fix that okay, you should set this value to this new value. So I can just accept it for now. I can say okay, this value will be updated, and same for title, right? And let's see if we have anything left. No. So and let's see the compiler. Everything is green. Everything works.
Yay.
And let's go ahead and see our app. Everything works as well. Let's see the toggle functionality, right? Everything works again. So now you have a local state management. It means even if you have multiple components and you toggle between them, your component still knows the local state. That, okay, what was the motor's value? Sorry, what was the last maybe property type which was selected? Yes, you can have that, which was a difficult problem to solve before. So I hope this is a very small introduction to Signal, but yeah, we are going to use signals everywhere as we move ahead. So, Ritvi, as someone who never thought or never heard about signals, do you think like you got a little bit idea?
Oh yeah, so much better. I think I'm gonna go back correlate it a little bit with what I know about memorization because I have a feeling it's something similar. And yeah, maybe I can be better at explaining it to any noobs here because I'll be unwrapping the explanation myself.
Nice, cool. And I'm going to talk about interesting story, is interesting discussion which I had with one of the core member from React team last year, 2024. When that was the same time around, like when Signal came to Angular. And let's do that in next stream. I love to talk about like the stories.
Amazing. Yeah, I'm very excited to hear that. Thank you everyone for joining us today. I hope it was fun and we'll see you next week. We'll announce the schedule
Yeah.
ASAP for y'all.
Thank you everyone. Bye bye.